Ladies and gentlemen, the EE PowerTalk episode 84. My name is Daddy Blessing. And on set today, kama kawaida, mukitisha mutu tunamletanga tu pole pole. Esther, you're back with us, and today we are rather discussing something very, very important that is happening. We are currently in some kind of limbo that we somewhat put ourselves in, and it is in matters of leadership in relationship to creativity.
Yeah.
Even before we continue, by the way, for the people that are seeing you for the first time, maybe you can introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. My name is Esther Modhoka. I am a content and SEO strategist, and I'm also a public speaker. So gigs zao wakitaka mtu wa kushanyenta na kumake the vibe, I am the go-to person.
Also the producer, EE PowerTalk. And it's always a pleasure to have you on that other end.
Yes,
so today we are discussing something very, very important.
Yeah.
And we recently had an ordeal that was quite unprecedented. President and president, see what I did there? Concerning the Butere Girls and the whole saga and all that.
Yeah.
And leaves the question of where does art stand in the society?
Yeah.
In your opinion, what do you make of it?
First of all, I'd start by saying fasihi ni kioo cha jamii. So we're just mirroring what is happening. So it was very interesting and very ironical to see that watu wako like on kina nani, and then they use force on the little kids bana.
Yeah.
But I feel like someone felt tagged in that. I think that's what Mkuri said. Someone felt tagged. Yani hapo kuna tumbo lisilo shiba, kuna mstahiki mmea.
Yeah.
You know, kuna kidaga ambacho kimeozea mtu hapo. And the reality is how, I mean, it's just we are looking at ourselves through a mirror. That's what art does. Art does for us.
Correct.
And it is expressed in different ways. In different, my ancestors.
In
different ways.
Yes.
In different ways. You have art in terms of literature, in terms of vitabu tulisoma.
Correct.
You have films like Akina Click Click Bang.
Yeah.
You have the plays like Echoes of War. And I can't wait nimeona watu wanataka kufanya the plays in theaters.
Yeah, actually, production teams such as Akina Belly and all that should adopt that play, because now it won't be quote unquote being influenced by children, because the reason that the government was giving is very shaky, because they are saying it's a political faction trying to use kids. I had one member of parliament saying that, and I was like, Jesus, you think we are children? Because it doesn't really make sense for you to kind of pull that card, the sympathy card, trying to tell our parents that this is a political guy trying to use your children, now you should be in the side of the government. Now the people are asking now, what was in the play now?
Exactly.
This that triggered you to have a beef with Form 4 East.
Hata ni Form 2. Form 2 East.
Ni Form 2 East.
Hiyo ni Form 2.
Like, what really triggered an entire government from... Because right now we can't pinpoint and say huyu alikuwa ndani, huyu hakuwa.
Yeah.
We saw the entire government in play.
Yeah.
And the irony is they played out Echoes of War literally. Because
I think the way they did to the kids, because it's uncalled for. Number 2, I'm just wondering, kwani hawa si walisomanga nini high school? They didn't read Akina Betrayal in the City, or they didn't read. There's one by, what is the name of this? Our parents read those books. It's not Betrayal. Nikikumbuka jina nita nini. But I'm just wondering, what literature did they do in school? Inaka very interesting that when you're najitoa ni kama hawajawai soma hii literature. It's only that the form of expression is different. And now we are having social media, which is now actually amplifying everything.
Yes.
As compared to kitambo. Alafu, watu si watoto.
Yeah.
Watu si watoto. And then you see, I'm just wondering, the way your force walitumia now, Echoes of War, came to life. And the bar is so low for this government.
Correct.
For them to fight with babies and to be hated by high schoolers. You're just a terrible person.
Like, how bad do you have to be for people really who are vibing to anything for them to have a grudge with you? Like, they are here just trying to live out a life.
Walikuwa wameenda funky.
Yeah, walikuwa wameenda funky.
Funky.
Like, they were looking forward to mkate na nini, na buffalo.
Na maboys, na nini.
Like, mtu anakuchukia na alikuwa ameenda kutafuta kaboi kampatie tai huko. But now anakufeel into fear.
Yeah. shati iandikwe jina
name tags.
M&M. Hey.
How bad do you have to be? And to make it worse, you're the guy who is at the upper echelon of whatever it is that we call a system in this country.
Yeah.
It is quite sad. And this is not the first time that this thing is happening. Expression, so to speak.
Yeah.
People have been expressing themselves and how they feel about the system for a very long time.
Yeah.
And it's not a lie. Because were it a lie, even the things that we studied in school could not have been permitted.
Yeah.
I think for me, the reaction and all this dominoes effect is a confirmation that we kind of already have been ushered into a dictatorship that we didn't see coming.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it is one thing to fight a political war with a fellow politician
who has the muscles
yes,
and the armory
yes,
to handle you.
Yes. And it's another entire thing to go and lob, is it lobbying or tear gas?
Yeah.
Yeah, to school kids. It doesn't really make sense. And when such children stand up and speak, they expect to be heard.
Yeah.
Because again, the reason why these children are speaking is because you have not had their adult counterparts, which are their parents, their sisters and brothers who are before them.
Yeah.
So it's upon them to stand up and talk. Now, you didn't hear the people who were ahead of us. Maybe there was this kind of system, but in the minds of these kids, they believe that brutal force is outdated, so they feel like they are supposed to be heard, only for them to be met with that kind of a brutal force.
Yeah.
And it, for me, it's quite unfortunate, and it doesn't really make sense for me.
Yeah. I'm just asking myself, to be honest, up to now, these are kids. The only thing they're having is their intellect. Are we trying, is it that the government is threatened by literacy and people who are seeing through their BS?
I saw someone say, anything that tries to be sharper than parliament, it either taxed, prisoned or threatened.
Ooh. Kuna mahali niliona ni mjinga akierevuka mwerevu ako matatani.
Yes.
So I feel like that is the situation, and even if they're trying to do the dictatorship thing, they're going to get a lot of resistance, because we are seeing through it.
Yes.
We read it in school.
Yeah.
I tell people I did political communication as one of the units. So time your campaign, I could clearly see which theory this is as compared to our parents who ukiwapea unga mbili, lesson ni ya Azimio, shati ni ya Jubilee,
yes,
kofia ni ya Kenya Kwanza,
yes,
na sijui ni nini ingine unga walipewa sijui na mtu wa Ford na mwingine wa Independence Party. Mwavuli ni kama wewe ndio ulikuwa unapeana kama wewe ndio mkubwa around kama MCA.
Yeah.
We are not bought by that.
Correct.
And I remember a friend of mine telling me we are a product of free education from your time ya Kibaki.
Yes.
Vitu kama hizi ndo alikuwa na solve. So we are able to see through and call it out. My worry is, are we getting smarter than this government, or they are threatened by the fact that we are smart enough to see through that? Because at the end of the day, it's a form of art, it's a form of expression. Ningekuwa niko na amari yote, niko na hadi, I don't even know if you have nuclear and as our country, you have the KDF by your side, you have all those amaris.
Yes.
Then you're dealing with babies who kazi yao ni kudance, anguka nayo, set it, pick up.
Like for me, for a person to be like infuriated by a TikTok video suggesting something that points out something that is shady that is happening in the public, and it infuriates you as a leader, it puts a lot of questions on the kind of a person that you really are. I think, to echo what you've just said, people are getting smarter.
Yeah.
There's a writer called John C. Maxwell, and in his book called Thinking for a Change, he said that for us to solve a problem, we have to change to be more smart than we were when we created that problem.
Yeah.
So these people are realizing we are getting smarter. And this problem that we created, which is the system, it was working for them. And now we are thinking beyond what we used to think when we created this problem. For them, they still think we are still the same people who put them in power. Them forgetting that there is a whole entire generation that has come, and the things that we have been taught in school, like the Kidagas of the days, the Mustahiki mayors, the betrayals in the city. I mean, we saw a betrayal in the city turn out in front of our eyes. Just 1 year after the election.
Yeah.
Like, we could predict these things. And the fact that these things are not getting us by surprise, now that's what infuriates them. Because again, instead of making these people more powerful, quote unquote, and more feared, they were like, don't you have another card that you can pull because you saw this coming? I think the free education that we were given by Kibaki, it's the one that is turning around to stab them in the back. Because we got access to how some of these things are run, the mediocrity that we are supposed to expect, and now we are seeing it in action. That's why we are not surprised. And now it's inauma sana.
Sasa nyinyi itauma, lakini itabidi mtazoea. Because at the end of the day, I'm still looking at, especially with everything, I'm just asking myself now that we have mentioned the free education, could it be the systems are being intentionally rigged to affect the next generation? I mean, you're having education system that it's flimsy kidogo sahi. There's a lot of uncertainty in the name of our children. There's a lot of uncertainty in the terms of health. As in, hizo ndio zile sectors zenye ina grow the next generation. So what does that mean for us?
Right now, they can't win this war. Because why? Kitambo, they used to fight force by force. Because for us, we were coming to change things by force. Right now, they have the force. We have the brain. That's why they are trying to, their forceful things are not working for them. For us, I would think it's on an advantage, even if they tax us out of, like, kila kitu wenye hata kusema yes sir unataxiwa, hata kusema hey babe unataxiwa, watax zote. They will not get into the level of thinking that people are at this moment. Because right now, people are not retaliating. Because now, if they want to come with brutality, with force and all that, they won't justify why this force.
Where is it coming from and what justification is bringing?
Exactly. Because you're trying to fight people who are not fighting you. Like, why bring war kwa drama festivals?
Nasikia tu hata kukula.
Unajua the only thing that was supposed to be near a gun or a shape of a gun ni prop kwa stage. So now a whole government brought police officers
because of Form 2 West.
With live tear gas and guns, possibly with live ammunition. To counter what? Kids.
Mimi hata najiuliza how polisi wafikiria hao ni watoto wao. They're under 18. They're under 18. I'm just like, this is so diabolical. Very diabolical. I mean, mimi nimeshangaa sana, but nimeshangaa.
I was thinking of it from Hanini. Sure. I was thinking of it from you did political communication. Personally, I've been exposed to political PR by default. You know what I mean? Now, for it being a PR crisis, who exactly is working on the communication team of these people?
But ni nani amekuwa huko, by the way? Because the things we have done in terms of, because I'm in the communication space as well, and handling crises to me handle at different capacities. So there are things we look at it at that, even from a communications point of view. We're like, what in the damn witch is this? Because it's easy to just tell the government, keep quiet, they're babies.
Exactly.
Wanamaliza funky, kitu imewapeleka kwanza uniwakosea unakosa kuwapea food. Unajua funky inakuanga ya food pia. So like mnabishana na wao mnasema endo wanunulie soda crate 4. Na nini, and go visit the school, make sure they have pilau 1 week.
Personally, if I was handling PR for them, actually I could have given them free airtime. It's very easy for a whole government, even for some politicians to buy a full day on TV. Just say it will air on TV ABCD for free for that day. It helps to ease the reception the reception when it comes to the public. Saa hizi tungekuwa divided kidogo. But saa hizi tuko pamoja. That thing did not air. It was supposed to air. That thing did not play because the director was arrested. That thing was prevented. Kulikuwa na tear gas. All that thing could have been avoided. Those police officers, in fact, they could have wangeenda huko to provide what do we call it? Easy PR.
Enda upige picha na watoi.
Enda upige picha na watoi. The team that will win ikuwe awarded by KDF, make history.
Yeah.
But now, locking media out of the school, what are you trying to do to the kids? You have raised panic the entire
How
nation.
threatened are you?
Yes.
To even do that in the first place? Because looking out the media, all those things they did.
Yes.
I'm looking at this also kids. Their parents are panicking. Kwanza ukijua, unajua kuna ule mtoto mmoja kwa hiyo class alikuwa na makelele. Like
exactly.
2027 she's going to vote and it's going to be personal.
Yes.
I mean she was talking from her heart. Yes. Lakini mzazi wake mali yako ameomba na ndimi.
Exactly.
And like you just said, most of, even I remember me as a young person.
Yeah.
Nikiwa time ya high school.
Yeah.
Hiyo ni tu voice imetolewa, but the thought process, the beliefs,
yes,
what is there behind the scenes for
correct,
these children, they're strongly seeing it. They hear their parents having the conversations, the teachers in school.
Yes.
So if you're trying to stop, probably if there's a revolution that might come out of that, it's very hard. Utashika mwalimu, ushike mzazi, ushike kanisa yao yote.
Yeah.
Because it's a community thing. This is just the product there. Yeah.
Like, and I think we overestimated how smart some of these leaders are, because we are in the war front line, okay? We give you a gun. Shoot the enemy. Wewe unachukua hiyo gun, unasema, "Hey, let me see whether it works." Pa! Unajishoot wewe mwenyewe.
Hey.
Because that's what the government is doing in hindsight.
Yeah.
The enemy is not the kids. The enemy is the notion that you have created, that you are leading people who don't think.
Yeah.
Because that's the notion that these leaders have created for a very long time. Na hiyo ndio inawaramba sahi. Now the people are thinking and they are questioning, okay, mmeongeza hii 16% on something. Why don't we write a play on this? Kuuliza 16% ndio mjiongeza mshahara ya 1.4 million. Na saa hizi kuna madaktari mahali karibu kugoma.
Exactly.
They have not been paid for the last 6 months.
Yeah.
But you can add taxes for you to be adding yourself allowances. You are in parliament debating useless things so that the sitting allowance can be more. The appearances that you have in parliament, I don't know how that works, but I believe that's how it works.
Hii sitting allowance wanakalianga nini?
I don't know. Anyone who knows on set? Sitting allowance? In parliament? Thank you. How expensive is their buttocks? So now, for them to be paid to sit down, it has to be some kind of expensive nini. Art being the mirror of what really is happening is us trying to say it in a peaceful way.
Yeah.
First of all, come, get entertained, but get the message.
Yeah.
Before the war starts.
Yeah.
Because when the war starts, it will be chaotic.
Yeah.
So when you bring war, when it was on the stage of entertaining you and informing you in peace.
Echoes of war chokweli.
Exactly. Exactly. It's not echoes zilishafika. Now the war is here with us.
Yeah. Nimeona kuna video fulani niliona. After hiyo drama yote, Kenyans are very creative.
Yeah.
So kuna msee ametengeneza song. Kasongo on the BTO.
Yeah, I saw it.
Mlo, ni student, alikuwa student, I think bado ni studio wa MMU. That school produces very, very creative guys, Shout out to the guy. I listened to the story and I was laughing because ukisikiza context yake.
Yes.
Kubishana ni maneno ya broom ya class cleaners.
Exactly.
And then you see the creativeness out of the creativity.
Ndio tunasonga tu.
I mean, of expressing that. And you see social media now is there to amplify, such. And then we've had so many, things that are being brought on board. You're having gender-based violence, you're having crime rates. And now us young people, because of our creativeness in nature,
yes,
you are able to express yourselves in different ways.
Yes.
So it's very funny that the government is focusing on that.
Kids.
Badala ya kufocus on,
the messaging
the messaging one. Number two, what are the issues being brought on board? How can we change it? Because you can't say we don't have infrastructure, lack of infrastructure, lack of capital. And it's very sad you're seeing the serious issues that are being brought on board, akina femicide, gender-based violence. The way they are being addressed, it's like ni tumende tu.
Yes.
Nimende tu, alafu hii yenye mnaguzwa mnatagiwa ndio mnaleta force.
Yeah. Like it's people who I think they are addicted to that that chaotic whatever, so that anytime they cause chaos, then they present themselves as solutions. And so now
it's a tactic.
Yeah, it is a tactic. And now it is not working.
Wow. Okay.
Because anytime they are trying to do that, they find it's a war against themselves.
So kinawaramba tu.
Kinawaramba wao wenyewe because unakuta there are some people who are saying yes sir, yes sir, yes sir.
How high?
Hey, how high can I jump? When I say jump, unauliza how high.
Yes sir.
Not why. We have such people who are in that school of thought. In the same government and faction, we have other people who, because of the betrayal in the city, are thinking the other way around.
Yeah.
They might be using the same tactic to also manipulate people, but you see, let's for example say an idol Rigiji is not a good one.
Yeah.
So you see that one as a result of something like when we saw it happen, we said, now this is something we saw in the betrayal in the city.
Yeah.
The Murili, there was a character called Murili there. He was a drunkard, and he used to speak things, and people would think that he's a drunkard. Then at the end of it all, he was correct.
Yeah.
Now when Rigiji quote unquote was talking about some things, we thought he was crazy.
Yeah.
Then right now that's when we are seeing things right now. Imagine a whole president going to speak about things, then children are coming with unaona hizo vitu vyenye zinaeditiwa haraka. This guy did not go to speak about roads, inaletwa si aliongea. This guy has not talked about me, ndio hii.
Yeah.
So now when a playwright sits down and writes a play, a movie, a choreography, or a song about what is happening, why do you feel so threatened?
Na ni ukweli.
It's not defamation because these people don't really care about defamation. In fact, defamation to them, it's another stone in the nini.
Because you remember the primary school kids alikuwa nafanya, I think it was a choral verse. Hakuna barabara hajui.
Yes.
Sasa,
exactly.
Utafungia kila kitu.
Na niyo ulisema, the funny thing is how easily we are getting information on the things that you said.
Yeah.
Kitambo, because media was not easily accessible as it is right now, these people could say something on the media, then 1 year later, because the media will not go on the archives, and because they control the media, these things will hatutapata. But saa hizi kitu walisema 5 years ago iko YouTube mahali inatembea,
inangoja wakati wa kutokea.
Yes. And the media right now, what is it called, civilian journalism or public journalism is a thing under the constitution, I think. There is that. Even a civilian can arrest you or something. There is civilian arrest or something. I don't know whether it is in the Kenyan constitution, but citizens arrest. Thank you. Citizens arrest and yes, it is there. So the same as citizen journalism. So everyone can set up sort of a media station, so to speak, on their phone. So right now, mtu akikuja kusema kitu hakuwa amesema, tutajua hakuwa amesema.
Ni kweli.
Mwingine akikuja kusema zile vitu mnasema sikuwa nimesema, tunaenda tu kwa receipt.
Yeah.
Siri ni receipt yako mtu yangu.
Archives, unatolewa receipt pale hivyo.
Si ulikuwa umesema hivi. So what's the problem? And I think I've seen some places the president repeating himself like 1,000,001 times saying, mimi si wazimu. I'll share that clip with you guys, you'll see. Yeah. Mimi si wazimu. Anytime that he's countered, and I'm like, okay, so anytime a person comes with a counter idea that sounds smarter than what you're trying to tell people, mimi si wazimu, I know how I'm running this government. That is insecurity that I've never seen coming from a person who is already at the top job. Imagine there is nothing beyond that. Tungekuwa na kingdom, tungekuwa tunajua huyu jamaa ako aggressive hivi because anataka kukua king. Boss, the constitution allows up to president. You are president. What else do you want?
Yeah.
So now, maybe coming back to art has been used to air out a lot of dirty linen that is in the society, and trying to curb how art is being done, or trying to dictate how art is being done, is really showing that whatever that art is trying to echo out out to the people is actually the truth. Because why are you trying to, it's like mtu aseme wachani niongee, but because you know chenye anataka kuongea ni ukweli,
unataka kumfunga handkerchief.
Exactly, unataka kumrusha handkerchief kwa mdomo. So when you try kurusha handkerchief kwa mdomo, inashikiwa hapa. So nani ameweka mkono yake in the nini? Si ni wewe?
Ni wewe.
We found your hand in the cookie jar.
Yeah, you've just reminded me. Oh, by the way, nakwanga na constitution kwa simu, guys. I am a learned person.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, so it has just pointed me back to Article 33 and 34. But nimeona sai Article 32, which talks about freedom of religion, belief, conscience, and opinion. Kama hiyo opinion haikuhusu.
Exactly.
Yeah, so inaongelea every person having the right to freedom of expression. Not expression is 33, but of your thought process. So kama inihusu, I have an option of just Control Alt Delete.
Correct.
For media, it's so long as it's not getting to a point of it does not extend to freedom of independence in terms of electronic, print, and all other types of media, but it is extend to a particular point. Hiyo wataenda kusoma na nini. That is 34, freedom of media, and then the other one is freedom of expression.
Yes.
So you have the right to express yourself in terms of art. Actually, freedom of expression in terms of freedom of artistic creativity.
Yes.
And academic freedom and freedom of scientific research. Of course, there are those bans that zinekangwa don't get to hate speech, propaganda.
Yeah.
Which is just taking me back to the artistic creativity that has been in so many forms in this country. And I mean, we have a very creative, nation.
Yeah.
This is why I'm throwing you at the deep end. Ushaifanya drama skits?
Yeah, I used to do them. I actually, during the 2021, 2022, during the campaign, whatever, I would do commentary on some of things, and I would dramatize some of the issues that I'm seeing personally. And we have mentioned a very important word that have been peddled for a very long time: propaganda. Nowadays, try to speak the truth.
Yeah.
Propaganda. It will be labeled that propaganda. Chief propagandist. Hata ukuje na proof. That is propaganda.
Utambua ni propagandist.
Hiyo ni propaganda ya watu. Hii ni watu hawataki maendeleo, hawataki nini. So I'm like, okay, what is maendeleo? When people are silent and applauding you because of nonsense, there are people who think they are above the constitution, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And there are some people who think the way they are operating, the constitution should apply to other Kenyans and not
them. They are above the law.
Yes. So anything that goes against what they think it should be that way, it is labeled propaganda.
Yeah.
It is labeled as something that is spreading hate speech and tribalism.
Yeah.
Those words, hate speech, propaganda, tribalism, because those are the words that have been peddled for a very long time.
Yeah.
Hata kwa parliament utasikia mtu tu anasimama tu anasema it is because of people are trying to spread propaganda. Which propaganda? It is the truth. And you hear someone trying to twist the people to think another way. Yeah? Let's say there is an incident that has happened. Kumeenda mkutano mahali, then someone has raised a voice and has talked to the president, for example.
Yeah.
Na akamwambia ulikuja hapa ukapromise dam, for example.
Iko wapi?
Hii dam haiko. Huyo mtu anaambiwa hapana, nyamaza ama hata ananyamazishwa.
Yeah.
If that thing is captured na iende online, when people go to parliament maybe to debate the conduct of that, they will start using the words allegedly,
propaganda,
like something we saw it happen.
Yeah.
But they are using words like allegedly, not confirmed, under investigation, and it is something that we saw happen.
And then they will say, I don't know what's the problem with these young people.
Yeah.
They're very disrespectful. They don't even respect the government of the day. And you can see what happened with last year. And then someone tries to draw something. Unajua ukweli uma.
Yes.
But the way they're trying to draw a notion.
Yes.
Wanajaribu kuforce haingi.
Yeah. Exactly, that's the problem.
Haingi. Juu kama mimi niko na constitution kwa simu. It means I'm learned.
Yeah.
I'm taking time to understand the context. If you ask me, I'll tell you this is where the things are. This is the Bill of Rights. What does Article 26 say? I mean, I'm just nina brag intelligence.
Yeah.
Article 26 is your right to life, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, so the more times I study that, I'm looking at you and I'm like, by the way, the math is not mathing.
Yes.
True. So si ukae tu chini na ukweli yako. Juu mimi nimerealize shida ni watu wanaogopa kuambiwa ukweli.
Yeah.
They're afraid of the truth. They're afraid of sitting down with their harsh realities.
Yes.
Because because I keep on telling people, especially kwetu nyumbani, niliona mahali walieka taa ya ushago, mahali wameweka ni place unrealistic. if you go ask that person you'll be told you're disrespectful, ama wanaanza na wewe ni mtu wa Nairobi, hata ujui nini kinaendelea, ama hata ujui kikamba ya kwenyu, ujui language ya kwenyu, so you can't tell us
with this notion of unaongelea mheshimiwa hivyo. I saw a lady being slapped during the era of Uhuru, and Matiang'i was very bitter about that. And what that guy was saying, unatusi mheshimiwa, and I'm like, ameheshimiwa juu my vote put that person
there.
So
you're
technically
using my taxes, you're using my vote, yani mimi nimekuandika kazi
exactly. Na sasa hiyo mheshimiwa yako ndio umekuja. Okay, it is sad to think that we can sit here and talk about the things that we are talking about, and after here we start fearing about our lives. It is a sad state of things. It is a sad state of affairs, even to think about it, leave alone even to live in it. Even to think about that it is a possibility that because of airing what we seeing that is happening, a life could be in danger. And not a life of a person who is in politics, not a life of a person who is running for a seat, not a life of a person who is any threat to this political class. It is just a fellow mwananchi saying, now mimi ni mwananchi wa hii Kenya, na hizi vitu ndizo zinani affect. Like ni anytime uone gari bila number plate inakufuata. It is such a sad state of affairs.
It's sad.
So when it comes to art, maybe as we wind up, only fools fear criticism. Thank you. Only fools fear criticism. So when we criticize you and unaanza kukua kama rattlesnake, unaonanga rattlesnake, then it tells us more about the person that you are. And I will also re-emphasize, if that's a word, we have not. Yeah, we have just said. Exactly. If you behave like one, you know yourself. The reason why we are saying that, and maybe re-emphasize on what I wanted to re-emphasize, is that we overestimated some of these people. They are not as wise as we thought. They are not as smart as we thought. They're just good at playing the political con game, which they are good at. But really, on paper and on kwa ground,
their IQ is just at the sewage and gutters.
That's the thing. And now they can't take it. The fact that people quarter their age are outsmarting them.
Inauma, by the way. Inauma sana. And we've talked about the worst case scenario. I think the best thing about art, and we can see it through the two films that are coming into my mind, is Click Click Bang and Makosa ni Yangu. Makosa ni Yangu highlighted something that is very crucial about gender-based violence, and how everybody is supposed to be very intentional and very inclusive. It's not a woman's issue. If you do not, if as a man you're not your brother's keeper or your sister's keeper, and as me, if I cannot call out and tell my friend walk out of that situation, it's something in kila mtu ako hapo. And then the fact that in every 2 days you're having someone who is potentially killed as a woman. Those are some of the things that are very sobering in nature. That film, I watched it when it premiered. Nilikaa hivi chini, my emotions were caught all through, because iliklik kwa akili yangu, by the way, this might happen to me.
Correct.
I may not have an escape route, and it was just
maybe to think about
heavy.
To think about it in this context, if the government now starts what is it called, inaitangwa aje,
describe
hii kunyamazisha watu wasiongee,
silence.
There is a word for it. Censoring. If the government starts censoring art, let's say a film like Makosa ni Yangu, there is a politician who is abusing a woman somewhere, and that thing has been censored, that production studios should not produce content that is portraying the society in a bad way, because quote unquote portraying a society that is beating women and portraying a society that is beating men or abusing men, it is bad for the image of the nation, and now it is banned. And now there is a politician somewhere who is abusing a woman.
Imagine.
That is retrogressive
thinking.
You should not censor art. Censoring art is backward. Censoring art is a sign of insecurity, and if you try to censor us, you will also be proving the point.
Exactly. Then it's very interesting that you just say that. The thing about art, itashika kila mahali, itashika kanisa. Si kuna film za kanisa zimefanyika.
Yeah.
Za watu wasioshiba, watu wanafungiana. I can't wait for a film ya wale watu walifungiwa wachange pesa.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just crazy. You know, it will touch on that. It will touch on us Gen Zs and probably call us out on the behaviors we have that are terrible.
Correct.
It will call out on every generation. It will call out on every single sector, which is very funny that when the government is being called out, sasa ndio wanaona. I mean,
by the way, come to think of it, when they were involving the Kenya Film Classification Board, they are involving it not to empower the people that are in film, but to look at what should air and what should not. That is why the age of YouTube and the era of selling content direct to the people, it annoys them. Because now, quote unquote, they can't use KFCB, Kenya Film Classification Board, the way they want, because kitambo it was for censorship. Hii movie yezi enda, hii inaongelea kuhusu President TV. Yezi, na maybe umeinvest nini yako yote. Maybe to cut the long story short, art is here to stay. Art talks about the kind of a society that we are living in, and if you don't like it, please know that there is something that you need to change. There is something seriously and horribly wrong with you as a person. And if art, and more so art brought by children, is infuriating you to that extent, to kind of show the full range of your power as a government, it begs a very huge question of where we are headed as a society.
Yeah.
So that's the EE Power Talk. See you in the next one. My name is Daddy Blessing.
My name is Esther Modoka.